I'm delighted to be joined today by Abid Hamid. Abid has an unbelievable and varied amount of recruitment experience at all levels. More recently, Abid is a board advisor, NED for multiple international businesses, and a business and leadership mentor. But I know him personally from his time as CEO of Recruitment Entrepreneur when I used to work for him, so this could be interesting. Abid is someone I can never see retiring. He has a passion for the recruitment sector and has been part of some and led many of the industry's leading, fastest growing companies and leadership teams globally. So his insight today will be valuable. Abid Hamid, thank you very much for joining me on Rise to Prominence podcast. It's great to have you.
Nice to have me here.
Haven't seen you for a short while. Obviously, I would say, we talked about it, retirement, but not quite retirement.
No.
You were never one when I first met you that I thought would ever retire early.
Hasn't quite worked out that way. No. I think I'm as busy without the responsibility.
It's a nice place to be.
It is. It's a very different makeup. Yeah.
Was that something, obviously I know you through the CEO of Recruitment Entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I think we worked together, I think it was for about just under 2 years. But you were there for 7 years?
7 years, yeah. From start to finish.
Was your plan to then come in and build that as a career move for yourself back then?
No, not really. I mean, I hadn't kind of thought about what was going to happen next. You know, I was quite happy kind of building it and taking it where it was. And then I think it came to a point where what the shareholders wanted to do and what I thought was the right thing were two different things. So it was all amicable. But then I decided, right, you know, I don't agree with this, so I'm going to go off and do something else.
Would you say then, you know, if people looked you up on LinkedIn, if you look through your kind of repertoire of job titles and, you know, what you've achieved, you've had a fair few jobs in like very high positions in big companies.
Yeah.
When you've left businesses, is that the kind of mentality you've always gone with? It's like, this now doesn't suit me for what I want out of my life.
I think it's a combination of things, right? It's a combination of if you're not in it, if you're not in the fight, then you're going to do a shit job, right? You have to believe every morning when you wake up that you're going to do something that's going to change the business or help the business or help the people within the business. And if you don't see the long-term benefit of that business, then kind of you're fooling yourself, you're fooling the people. Yeah. And I'm kind of not a half in, half kind of guy, as you well know. So for me, it's like all in, you know, go for it, you know, work as long as you need to, as hard as you need to kind of give back what you set out to do. And if that's not the case anymore, then I don't think you could do it. At least I couldn't do it. Yeah.
And I think, you know, going to point, you know, I think the first time I met you was during the interview process a few years back. And I think it was on a Teams call. Yeah. And we were talking about the UK and the role that kind of potentially that I was applying for. And you were talking about the potential touch on the international side of things. And one thing that always stuck with me was the phrase, and you haven't coined it, but it stuck with me. And you was like, we are relentlessly ambitious. Yeah. And I think, you know, there's a lot of similarities in your personality to my father. And I was like, God, you know, you're black or white, you're in or you're out. Yeah. And that was quite clear from, I think, that half an hour Teams call. Yeah. And that relentlessly ambitious mentality was, you know, from my point of view, when I started with you and working with the senior leadership team, that was installed probably in everybody as part of what we wanted to achieve from RE.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think... I don't think you can achieve a lot unless you're relentless. Whether you use ambition or hard work or whatever, it has to be relentless. You know, nothing comes easy. Yeah. Right. So you're going to have to be relentless about it, and in order to be relentless, you need to believe it, and you need to let all the other people who work with you believe it. You alone believing it and nobody else following it doesn't work, in my mind anyway. Yeah.
So going back way before Recruitment Entrepreneur and the other big companies, and you go back to, you set up your own company that you'd ran the consultancy, and prior to that, how did, you know, and I know it's the age-old question, you know, how did you fall into it, and what was your, straight out of uni or around that time, what was your goal?
So I studied law, made the mistake of then going to the bar and thinking, oh my God, I hate this.
Don't most people?
Well, no, I mean, there are lots of people who love it. And then decided, no, I'll go and get a job. And I worked in banking. And then from banking, I went into recruitment, which is another story. It's a too long a story.
That's another podcast.
And then I kind of realized very quickly, I'm a really bad employee. I'm just not made to be an employee. So I had the opportunity to then get in business for the first time with a guy called Tony Byrne. Tony Byrne was the original kind of global trainer in recruitment. And he created something called the 30 steps in the recruitment process. And so I went into business with him, and eventually I bought that business off him.
Okay.
And so we were the first guys selling, videos, VCR videos. For those of you who don't know what that is, Google it. And we used to sell those in 30, 40 countries around the world. And that training business then ended up providing recruitment training and recruitment consulting in 22 countries globally. We were the first people to go and train in Russia in 96, 97. Wow. The first ever kind of search business in Russia was a company called Commonwealth Resources. And we went there and we did all the training for them and actually trained them for many, many years after.
They probably still got your VCRs out there.
They probably still do have the VCRs, yeah. So that's the kind of start of ARBP. And then we trained everything from, some of the largest recruitment businesses in the world, from Hayes to S3 to you name it, to small boutiques all over the world.
So your network from that must have just exploded.
Network was huge. In those days, there was no kind of social media, no marketing, no nothing. So it was all referral business or cold calling.
Interesting.
And the good news was there weren't that many other people out there doing it. So people were like, "What? You're going to train recruiters? What does that look like?" So yeah, that kind of took us. We trained in places like Nigeria.
Wow.
It was superb.
Yeah.
It was very good. So did that for a very, very long time.
So you went into kind of quite a global market straight away.
Global, straight away. And we then ended up doing consultancy stuff. Then we did projects where we would literally go in and run a team or do a new market opening or do sales or whatever it was. So yeah, that's how I got into being my own boss. Yeah.
And I think, when you look at kind of, and I've talked about this on other podcasts, what is the definition of an entrepreneur? And I think, that's probably changed over the years, but I think, when you go back to that role that you're in, and it's like, not that you don't fit in anywhere, but it's like, I will do better on my own because I'm relentlessly hardworking, ambitious. You had a vision, clearly, that you knew what you wanted to get.
I think vision would be grand, right? I think I just kind of knew. I just kind of knew that, one, I wanted experiences, and a lot of them, that a particular job wouldn't give me.
Yeah.
Right. So I kind of would have to go and make it myself. So that's exactly what I did. I didn't do it for the money. Obviously money was important, but I did it because nothing else would have taken me to all those experiences. Who gets on a plane and goes to Russia in 96 and spends 3 months there?
Very rarely then and very rarely now.
Very rarely now, yeah. So I think it was more about kind of getting out there and learning different things, seeing different things, and the experience of it, more than, it's going to make me really rich or something.
Yeah.
That never really kind of tickled my fancy.
And so, that monetary financial side was a byproduct of being successful.
Yeah, sure. But it's not the quantum that I would use for success.
Yeah.
For me, it's, I've lived in the same house for 27 and a half years.
I remember this. Yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
Why would I move?
Yeah.
So the financial piece is nice, of course. It allows you to have choices, but that wasn't the driver. The driver was a lot more selfish. It was about wanting to experience different things, meet different people, different cultures, different ways of doing business, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, the network off the back of that was unique. Yeah.
And you mentioned S3. Was that you then obviously moved into a global role for S3? Was that off the
back
of that?
That was age. So that historic a little bit. Go back a bit. I trained Huxley when it just got formed. Okay. So there were like 6 people. And we were already doing some training for S3 Group at that time. It wasn't called S3, it was Computer Futures.
Yeah.
And then Gary Eldon asked me whether I would come and help them build their oil and gas business, which is progressive.
Yeah.
So I went and did that. Yeah.
And so again,
that was just basically being on a plane 3 weeks in a month. Yeah. literally. Lots flying. And I mean, they had, 36 offices, 24 countries, I think 3,200 odd recruiters.
Wow.
So, it was pretty big. Yeah.
So in terms of like your personal life at that stage,
yeah.
Married, did you have kids at this point?
I was in the doghouse, yeah.
I was going to say,
I was in the doghouse.
I'm going through a similar run.
I was definitely in the doghouse, yeah.
Did you have kids at this point?
Yeah, of course.
Did?
Yeah.
Is that why you did it?
No. I mean, it was just kind of like, I'm kind of blessed, I guess, that my wife is very understanding.
Very understanding. 3 weeks of a month.
Very understanding. Yeah.
But it's nice to have that support, though.
It was, yeah. It
really
was really
nice.
Then
to grow.
Yeah, but she'd already kind of experienced it when I was doing ALBP.
Yes.
17 and a half years. I'd be like, I've got to go tomorrow, and I'd be gone for like 3 days or whatever.
Yeah.
That was when the kids were younger.
Yeah. So then you touched on kind of what success looks like, and whether it changes by generation. Obviously, we've got a Gen Z coming through into recruitment, being successful.
Yeah.
You've got still the leaders who are at the top of their game being successful. A lot of it, obviously, particularly with social media, it's become a very much lifestyle thing. Rolex is fast cars. It's not just recruitment, it's a lot of other industries as well.
Sure.
The success side of it is very financially motivated. And when you look at, there's over 30,000 recruitment companies in the UK, there's between 5 and 8 setting up each year.
Easy entry to market. Yeah.
It is easier entry to market. And I think, obviously that's got a lot easier now with hybrid working from home. Yeah. And I think, that onus of its financial success. Do you think you've been more successful because you didn't put that as, if you were writing a list of what is success to you, that finance wasn't at the top? And it was building something?
That's a really interesting question. I never really thought about it that way. I mean, I never did anything for free, if that's what you mean.
No.
But it certainly was not a driver. I never made a decision purely on finance.
So then if your advice to somebody now, kind of in a position of you where they feel like they don't fit into, whether it's recruitment or any business, and they think, I'm this similar model of, I need to do something of my own. Yeah. What would you say that your top 2 priorities should be, excluding finances?
You kind of need to believe and have the confidence in doing what it is that you want to do. If it's not recruitment or whatever else you're going to do, you need to be able to go, right, I'm going to take that step. And that's a confidence thing. It's scary. It's uncertain, but it's a much happier place. It's a much, much happier place. And if you're happy and you have the confidence and you believe in the idea, the chances of the finances are going to come, right? But you got to bite the bullet, because otherwise you're going to sit in a place where you're miserable. You might be successful financially, but you're miserable. Well, life's too short to be miserable, to be honest.
And that isn't success.
It is for the outside world, right? But then, the outside world is not why you do things, or at least I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not that interested in what anybody else thinks I have or I don't have. It's kind of irrelevant to them, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm miserable, then I've never stayed in a job that I've been unhappy with. I've just walked out the next day. Yeah.
And that's interesting, because if you go back pre-COVID, the attitude of, and you've probably been in the same situation where you're reviewing a CV and they were called job hoppers and they were in for 12 months. And if you were that person, you'd have to justify why. And it was never looked on kindly or well in an interview process, where now actually, the age old, you will increase your salary by job hopping more than staying in the same career for 25 years. So it's become more of a theme that people are now job hopping. Do you think there's more of that kind of cutthroat of, this isn't for me, I'm out, there's definitely another job around the corner?
I'm not talking about jobs here, though. I'm talking about you as an individual wanting to do something that you want to do, and then you decide, well, it's safer to be in the seat in a job, right? Jobs is a slightly different kind of question. I think if I thought you were asking me whether, you'd go off and do something that you really wanted to do. As far as jobs are concerned, that's a different ballgame. It does make sense sometimes, and sometimes it definitely does not make sense. The grass is not greener on the other side. Just because you're going to get paid more doesn't mean it's going to be easier. You still have to have the skill set and the ability to kind of execute whatever it is that job wants you to execute.
They'll take more of their pound of flesh, arguably.
Well, potentially, but also, it's all about time. You don't get the time back that you waste on a decision that doesn't make you happy.
Yeah.
And if you just do it for money, great. But for me, not a chance. My time, my personal time, is much more valuable than going for a job. I mean, you're doing 10 hours a day. That's what, 2,400 hours in a year of your life in something that you probably don't want to be in. Well, my view would be leave. I mean, I just wouldn't stay. I mean, that's a personal one. Don't all rush off and leave your jobs. But I mean, that's kind of, there are people who are comfortable with that. I've never been comfortable with that.
If then somebody was looking to set up their own business, and there are a lot of people that are kind of, for ages, and understandably why, they sit on the fence, they've got the guarantee of income, go, right, now's that time.
Yeah.
Is it easier to do that with somebody because there's pros and cons of doing it, with a partner, or is it, just do it yourself and go with it?
I mean, that's a very difficult question again, because it depends on who your partner is, how well you work with them, how long have you known them, what do they bring to the table. I mean, I could give you examples of plenty of companies that were set up with partners that never went anywhere because they broke up further down the line. I think there is no good time, right? There is no good time. It's never perfect, right? Oh, this is the perfect time to go set up your business. There is no such thing, because it's for you to decide and make it happen. Nobody else. No one is coming to help you.
Yeah.
Right? There's no kind of emergency button where you press it and then suddenly the guys come and sort out all the problems. No. You have to kind of take that step and go and just do it. Yeah.
In your roles that you've gone through in your career, and the not career changes, but kind of you've worked for very different companies.
Sure.
Has there been a recurring theme of why those businesses were successful?
Different reasons, but I think if you want to kind of boil it down, my job mainly as kind of leadership falls down into one thing. I like problems. If you don't want problems, you cannot be a leader. Right? You have to deal with problems. And you have to wake up in the morning going, right, come on then, what we got today?
Relentlessly optimistic.
Yeah, well, not necessarily optimistic, but stress-free, because that's what leadership's all about. People come to you not when everything's going fantastically well, but when things aren't going fantastically well. Yeah. And they want you to kind of make decisions, and that gives them confidence and the backing and the trust and having the right number of people around you. So no leadership works in isolation. I mean, my successes in any job I've had is because I've had really good people around me. And that's a skill set in itself, finding the right people. Not just the right people, but the right people that are going to work with you and you will work with them, right? The personality piece and what you think about them and how they think about you. Because ultimately, as the leader, you're working for the people that work in your company. Yeah. Right. You make a decision that affects 300 people or 400 people. Right. So you've got to have that kind of confidence in your ability to go, all right, I might not know, won't know whether this is 100% right, but I got to make a decision. I don't know if you remember, but I used to always say, I don't do maybe.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes or no. And that kind of evolves as you get more experience. You've seen some of those decisions before, either made by yourself or by others, and you kind of go, okay, well, that's probably not the right thing to do there, or it is the right thing to do there. But that's kind of the important piece of it. Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this kind of next question. You've obviously been in very different companies, like I mentioned. Yeah. Different operational structures, different senior leadership teams, very different personalities. Yeah. In my experience, and not similar to you, but working in these big corporates and working with different people, that's quite a big thing you have to handle at board level or senior leadership management. How have you experienced it to a point where it's impossible to work in that environment where everybody's clashing? Because there are a lot of opinions strong, but that's why they're all there at the end of the day. Yeah. And how have you managed to deal with that? Because there are a lot of senior leaders in recruitment that kind of have this same problem.
I mean, not just in recruitment, but I mean, you have various stakeholders. You have stakeholders below you, you've got stakeholders above you, and you've got your peers as stakeholders, you need to corral them, and you need to kind of get a consensus. Depending on your position, I mean, in some cases, I would just make a decision whether you liked it or you didn't like it, and I would just drive it through. And then it's kind of like, that's my decision. You're just going to have to ride that horse. If you're not going to ride it, then, I'm very sorry.
Yeah. There's other options.
But there are other options. So it depends on how much influence you've got. I mean, if you're just one of the other directors, I mean, it's not about who shouts the loudest, right? In my current job as board advisory, I'm doing it all the time. I'm sitting on boards of various companies where not all the shareholders or the directors meet eye to eye. But then you've got to create enough of a persona in that board that you're the arbitrator. So you eventually, when they come to you, because that's why they've got you there, right? And then you come in, and it's about being fair, and it's about not taking sides and just going, that's the reason why I think it's the right thing to do, and that's what we're going to do. And then they both have to agree. And that's a tricky one, right? Because that's why they've got you there. They've both got to trust you, right? And they've got to both believe that you're not doing it for other reasons. Yeah. So for the best of the company and the people in the company. And that kind of trust piece is I guess, grounded in very strong kind of moral compass, right? You need to have a very strong moral compass if you want your people to trust you, right? So you can't be one thing one day and another thing the other day. Consistent. So you have to be totally consistent. People need to know where you stand on absolutely everything. And you've worked in the environment where I've worked, no question about it. It's very, very clear. That's what you're going to do. But you've got to be open to ideas, and everybody makes mistakes. I've made plenty of them.
As long as you learn from them, right?
Yeah. As long as you learn from them. But I think Oscar Wilde said it. Experience is just another word for your mistakes. Yeah. Right. So just made loads of them.
20 years ago, then the role you're in now. I mean, obviously, everything evolves in life. Yeah. But this board advisory, and I touched on it on another podcast about kind of marketing having more of a seat at the table and working with that leadership team. And when we look at Prominence and the clients are coming to us going, I want to scale my business next year. Yeah. They're coming to us as marketing experts, and it's like, okay, but this board advisory, the non-exec director title, 20 years ago, was that around as much?
Sure.
Yeah, and that still played a big part in.
Yeah, I mean, in an odd way, it's a full circle for me, because when we had ARBP, I mean, we literally ended up being advisory to most of the companies that we were working with. Okay. So I did a lot of that already at that point. I got a lot of exposure to businesses that had issues, and they'd ask me and be like, what do you think? I'd be like, I don't know.
The inadvertent advisor.
yeah. Kind of, I think that might be a good idea. And they'd be like, oh, okay, let's go for it. So it's kind of like a full circle, because that training piece leads you to know the people within the business. Yeah. Then you kind of do management training, then you end up kind of advising the company. So I think it's kind of like a full cycle in many ways. Apart from, I've obviously got a lot more experience now.
Yeah. With that experience then, and COVID was a solid 4 years ago. Yep. Pre-COVID, recruitment had a set path. Obviously, there's the highs and lows of the seasonal annual changes. Yeah. We've obviously seen remote working, then hybrid working, then kind of pushing full time. This podcast is probably going to go out in early Q1 of 2025. Yeah. We had the Labour budget then at the end of last year. That, whether it was Labour, whether it's Conservative, there was always going to be changes. So, and it's, no one's got a crystal ball. And I think we've always kind of talked about this when we were at Recruitment Entrepreneurs, kind of how do you forecast in that with all these changes? Will recruitment change in line with budget changes that affects employees?
No. I think the biggest change recruitment will have is from AI. No question about it. I mean, already, I sit on the board of a company that's doing it right now. Yeah. Right. So you have a complete change in the way volume day-to-day recruitment will take place, or parts of it will. Executive search, I don't think will change for a very, very long time, because I think AI is not ready, and also to the decision makers at that level aren't going to trust AI. Yeah. So AI has got a period of time where it's got to create trust with the user, because today it's a bit of fun. We don't know whether it's going to get it right, whether it's going to get it wrong.
Yeah.
But once it starts to genuinely get it right every time, then I think it will take over a large proportion of what recruiters today do.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely happening. It's already in the market. How fast it goes, I think it'll go a lot faster than we think. So I think next year would be, the next 3 years, I think, will be quite seminal in terms of how AI affects recruitment.
Not to be kind of over egg it, but it's kind of like the adapt or die. It's, we have these things coming in.
I mean, you need to monitor it. You need to see what's going on in the market. I mean, today you've got tech that a client goes on, puts a job on a platform, let's say. That platform, tidies up the job with AI, puts it out into the market. It will then tell you have, 25 guys at 100% match, 30 guys at 85% match, etc. And then you can press a button and get in touch with those guys. They get a questionnaire, which they do on a video. The video assesses and does an assessment of the individual based on their answers on that question and gives a scorecard back to the client.
All the while you've just sat there and waited.
And that's all without any interaction from a human being, right apart from the candidate and the client, obviously.
And in a positive, then that does allow that human recruiter to then speed up other processes, because then they've got more time to do other things.
No, they'll need to change things, because that process that I've just explained to you kind of falls into compliance, falls into D&I, falls into all sorts of things, right? The recruiter's part here is really post that event. So now the client and the candidate have met. That's where the recruiter could get involved, feedback to the client, and the candidate, kind of negotiation, maybe some counter offer stuff or whatever. I don't think AI is going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But the front end of recruitment, for I think 85% of what recruiters do, I think AI will take it over.
So if you were going back 20 years and you had all this tech and you were doing your training now, this, I'm assuming, would be a large part of what you would be going out to the companies.
It wouldn't
that
be
you
me.
No.
I mean, apart from spelling AI.
But it would be a big part of, now need to bring this
if
in.
you're in recruitment today, you should be either developing or looking at other people who are developing AI tools for recruitment. No question. No question in my mind.
What are your thoughts on using that tech and businesses are building, and when we speak to our clients and others outside of that, and it's we want to scale next year, we're looking at AI, we're looking at this, we want to be specialists in tech, for example, but we want to go to America.
Yeah.
That's quite, it's been a theme for a while. There's no secret that there's bigger fees, time zones bearable from the UK at the minute. Is that going to increase more and more? Do you think people will catch it, the people in America?
No, I don't think that's this. I mean, if you take America as a whole, it's the graveyard of UK recruitment companies. You think about the number of UK recruitment companies over the last 25 to 30 years that have gone to the US and not made it.
Yeah.
It's not an easy market. I mean, it's the same size as the total market of Europe.
Yeah.
Right. In terms of people, larger distances, and a very, very different business landscape. So there are people who've gone and been successful, but I don't think AI is necessarily going to make you successful just because you got AI. It
doesn't make the job easier.
Doesn't make the job easier either in the UK or in India.
Yeah.
It's just going to be part of the job. BD is still BD. You still have to get up and make that effort, even if you've got leads coming through marketing. At the end of the day, we are still in the ballpark where people talk to people and people make decisions based on people,
like human to human relationship.
I think that's going to stay for a while. You might get the lead flow easier, but the actual conversion of that lead into something that's a little bit more concrete is not going to be done by tech. You're not selling a product. It's not going on eBay.
You're selling a service.
You're selling a service, correct? Yeah.
If from an outsider looking in, a bit like when I talk about the finances and things like that. It's like, yeah, Abid Hamid's done this. He's got this career. You look at him on LinkedIn, board advisor, NED. Has there been any times in your career, not that have kind of come to a halt for an unexpected reason, that have kind of challenged you or had to change your career or a job that was unexpected, that you had a difficult time in that role and you were like, I didn't expect this to happen. This hasn't worked out for me. And how did you overcome that?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I mean, my first job at Pizza Hut was, but that was years ago. But no, I think most of the decisions I've made have been made by me.
Yeah.
I've made that decision to go, right, I'm leaving S3 and going to go and work for whoever.
Yeah.
Harlow actually Harlow International. I mean, that was a decision made by me. I've been lucky that way, that most of the times I've made my own decision in terms of moving job or moving role or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, have they been difficult decisions? Yeah, some of them have been difficult decisions. RE was a difficult decision, for sure. I'd built that up over 7 years, 6.5, 7 years. I mean, it was a fantastic team, doing really, really well. Was it easy to walk out? No. It would have been easier to stay, probably.
Really?
Yeah, it would have been easier, but then easy isn't the right decision, right?
Well, I think, go back to your point, kind of about your personal life, it's like, you're either in or you're not.
Yeah.
And I remember, not to go into the detail, but we were working with America, and we were trying to break into America, or set up in America at least. Yeah. And it was actually pre-me anyway. You'd been working with a company out there, kind of pre-setting all of this up, and then it was all becoming more official. We were establishing the international side a bit more. And I remember it because it was Valentine's Day. It was February the 14th. Yeah. So I wasn't spending the night with my wife, thanks to you. Because I think it was like, there was a decision to be made. Yeah. And we got to the point where we were in or out, we had to make a decision. Yeah. And it was kind of, we had a call a couple of days before. It was like, right, where are we at this? Can we do this? Can we do that? And I know that decision, and I, again, chatting to my wife about it, I was like, that's a big call. Yeah. Like that, that was an all or nothing decision. Yeah. In my opinion and experience, kind of, I'd only been in the company, I think, for about 4 months at that time.
Yeah. That was a really difficult decision to make, because the people were great. Yeah, they were really good. They were very hospitable. We'd kind of worked with them. They'd kind of push out. We'd push out. But didn't see it working. I didn't believe that it would work. So, there's no point in kind of going on. You make that decision and then made that call, which was probably one of the more difficult calls I'd had to make, with all their management team just saying, right, sorry guys, it's over.
And do you sit here and still stand by that decision? That was the best decision for the business at the time?
At the time, yes. Yeah. For them too. They don't see it. I'm sure they don't see it. I'm sure they still think, they probably bear a grudge on me. But actually, it was a better decision. It was a good decision for us, and it was a very good decision for them too.
How much, does it ever weigh on shoulders that you piss people off, and this grudge or whatever it is? That do you ever take, you're not a robot ultimately, but you have, not just RE and
sure.
A lot of other businesses, you've had to make decisions where you haven't made friends, along the way, and people probably have opinions like you, like they, like on everything. Yeah. Does that weigh on you at all while you're making those? I'm not saying you're unemotional or you are emotional, but
I'm kind of unemotional about that for a very simple reason, right? So my first principle is, I need you to respect me, so I've got to earn that respect, right? And that comes in many formats, right? And that includes making tough decisions. The liking piece comes later. If you like me and I like you, fantastic. But that's not what I'm there for. I'm there to create a respectful relationship between me and the people that are working with me. If they feel that I can be persuaded because I like something, then that's not the way to do it. So I'm kind of like, I'll earn that respect. If I have to kind of chew the pebbles and the steel, then fine, that's my job. That's what I get paid for. Sure. I will do it. Does it piss people off? 100%. Have I pissed a lot of people off? Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I can't name you.
Did you enjoy part of it a little bit?
No. I mean, there's never enjoyment in it, but it's, I would not have made those decisions lightly.
Yeah.
But once I've made it, no, I would not stress over it at all. I'm not a stressy kind of guy anyway. But
and you're quite methodical, from my understanding. You're very methodical.
I'm very organized. Yeah. I'm very organized in my brain.
Yeah. And so that decision isn't out of like,
it's not kind of like
it's been thought out.
Yeah, I would never kind of instinctively make a decision. It would be very, very clear in my mind. Yeah.
So for anyone who's listening, then, whether they're in recruitment or in business, what would you say your biggest, incredible career in huge companies and the impact that you've had? What would you say your biggest takeaway from that is? That kind of, you seem quite like happy with all the decisions and all of that. What would you say your biggest learning and looking back on all of that was?
Biggest learning. Wow. I think you need to be humble. Number one, you're never better than anybody else. You just have a different job from them, right? It's a very, very important distinction. Yeah. And I think if you're not, ego gets involved. If ego gets involved, you make bad decisions. And I think the one thing I've learned from all the people that I've met over the years, who are good people, who've taught me something, is that they will have a very good moral compass. They'll be fair, but they'll be really, really tough. Yeah. They'll be really, really tough. I mean, toughness, unfortunately, is kind of part and parcel of being the leader, right? And you have to make that decision. So I think that's kind of my takeaway would be those. Yeah, humble in what you do. Just because your job is bigger than somebody else's or whatever doesn't make you better than them. It's just different job.
Yeah, great answer.
Yeah.
So what's next then?
I'm just really busy.
Yeah.
So
traveling the world, obviously, while still doing board meetings. I'm sitting on the
board of not one single UK company.
What?
So
Really?
One in Luxembourg, one in Romania, one in the others. I won't name them all, but I'll just take you through the countries: Morocco, Denmark, Croatia, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Ukraine, and I think that's I might have missed one or two, but yeah. So they're all different companies, but all international.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
So utilising your network.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've met a lot of people along the way. You've got some experienced people who you work with and for. Yeah. If you were to pick somebody who you think that you have admired in any capacity, that you look on their career and go, God, that's, really admire what they've achieved. Yeah. Who, and recommend for this podcast as somebody that would be a good guest, who would be that one person for you?
Gary Eldon.
Good quick answer.
Yeah. Without question.
And summarise Gary then for us.
Oh, I just think he's, humble, unbelievable career, top guy, right, and a bit of a laugh as well. So I'd say Gary Eldon would be a great person for you, because not only has he been an entrepreneur and built his own business, but then he's run a FTSE 250 company as CEO, right? So that's saying something. That's and an incredible guy. So that would be my recommendation.
I'll make sure I grab his number from you afterwards.
I'll give it to you. I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
Abid, thank you so much for coming on Prominence. It's been amazing having you. Great to see you again.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.